Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Begakar Ahmed and welcome to today's video. The other day I was going ahead and taking a look at how algebra was created. I do have pre-knowledge that algebra was created by a Muslim man in Arabia. So I went ahead and kind of studied him a little bit. His name is Muhammad ibn Musa. He created algebra in the 9th century of Arabia, and I really understood that where does algebra just fall out of the sky, right? Like, does it just fall out of the sky? And apparently it does. So the Holy Quran is very complex in its numeric miracles. The way that numbers come together, the way the verses and the chapters and things of this come together are very amazing. We already know of many of them. But I went ahead and took a look of a couple chapters and a couple verses that confused me before or left me with unanswered questions. And I found a lot of different links, right? I found a lot of different links, and I cannot wait to share all of these with you guys. But today, I kind of just want to open this discussion, show you guys some of the things that I found. I'm not going to go too deep into each verse. Some of these verses break down 10s to 15 to 20 times over, continuously providing you with the same directional number, and it's actually incredible. If you tried to do this on accident, it would never happen. So I truly understand how the individual who created algebra ended up creating algebra as he was a Muslim, because the Quran is truly the teacher of algebra. So without further ado, I want to go ahead and take a look at some of these verses, right? So I'm going to flip open the Quran here, and we're going to take a look at one that is known, okay? And this one is known, and it's not something that I found myself. And this is how I want you guys to go ahead and examine the Quran yourself, because you can do this yourself at home, and you might be able to find things or see things that others cannot see, right? Now, this is Surah 3. In the ayah, we're going to go ahead and pay attention to is 13, okay? So this is verse 3:13, correct? So what does it read? Let's just read it. There has been a sign for you, O Jews, in the two armies that meet. One was fighting in the cause of Allah, and as for the other were disbelievers. They saw them with their own eyes twice their number, and Allah supports with his victory whom he wills. Verily, in this is a lesson for those who understand. Okay? So, what's very beautiful about this is, one, if we go ahead and take a look at the parentheses, these parentheses are directed towards specific things to go ahead and explain to you what the Arabic actually means, right? Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't say the Battle of Badr in the Arabic. He doesn't say a number of soldiers. He doesn't say or specify a quantity, a date, a time, the battle that this is. He does not specify any of this, okay? But through hadith, we understand that this is the Battle of Badr, right? And in the Battle of Badr, there was 313 soldiers. And miraculously, this is chapter 3, verse 313, correct? Also, if we add the numbers 3, 1, and 3 together, we get 7, okay? 7 is one of the most important numbers in all of Islam, okay? Now, this is just one example right here to where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is providing us information, and this actually goes so much deeper, correct? I don't want to get into going deeper right now. I will have specific videos on specific verses and how deep they actually get, but I just wanted to show you one example that we actually have right now that I can show you that the whole Muslim world knows. We all know, right? If you go ahead and look this up online, you'll find that chapter 3:13 talks about the Battle of Badr, and the actual chapter and verse number is referring to how many soldiers there actually were in this war. So this is one of the Quranic miracles that I wanted to go ahead and focus on, but there are a few more that I went ahead and found on my own terms, right? Just reading and understanding numbers and how this goes ahead and plays out, right? So I'll go ahead, take that off. Let me scoot my Quran over a tiny bit, okay? Now, the verse I want to go ahead and take a look at here is 11:73. And let's read it. It says, they said, do you wonder at the decree of Allah, the mercy of Allah, and His blessings be upon you, O family of Ibrahim, right? Surely He, Allah, is all praiseworthy and glorious, all right? Now, what is this talking about? This is talking about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is He's bestowing His blessings upon the family of Abraham. Peace and blessings be upon him. And essentially, what He is saying right here, in the Arabic term, He is using the word Ahlul Bayt, which means people of your house, okay? Now, when we add some of these numbers together, let's play with the math of this. Let's say we add 7, 3, 1, and 1, we get 12, okay? So remember this number. We're going to keep this number here, okay? And no, guys, we are not going into a complete breakdown of the 12 Imams and Ahlul Bayt. Just calm down and just go ahead and pay attention to what we're seeing here right now, okay? Now, 73 plus 11, okay? If we add the chapter and the verse, what do we get? We get 84. 8 plus 4 is also 12, all right? Now, if we take the factors of some of these numbers, if we break 84 down into its factors and play around more, we will get 12 again. It is actually incredible. But this is what I want to go ahead and focus on here, right? First, I will show you another reference where it talks about 12. And there are many references where it's talking about 12 when specifically speaking about the family of Abraham or the family of Muhammad. But I would like to go ahead and flip from Surah 11 to Surah 12, okay? And I want to pay attention to this, okay? Now, this is the chapter Joseph, all right? Nabi Yusuf alayhi salam, peace and blessings be upon him. This is the only chapter in the whole entire Quran that shows and tells the cohesive story of a prophet from the start of his life to the finish of his life without going off track, without telling me something else. This whole entire surah is directly about Joseph, okay? And I don't see this as a coincidence. Why? Because Joseph was one of 12 sons, okay? And he was the one prophet out of those 12 sons. And when we go ahead and read into the chapter of Joseph here, peace and blessings be upon him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes ahead and talks about there, verily, O Father, verily I saw in a dream 11 stars in the sun and the moon, and I saw them prostrating to me. These 11 stars plus himself make 12, right? The Ahlul Bayt of Abraham, or the tribes that come from Abraham that went ahead and birthed all of the prophets, are the tribes of Israel, or the tribes of Jacob, okay? Yaqub, alayhi salam. Yaqub has 12 sons. He has 12 of Ahlul Bayt, right? 12 of the family members of his household. I found it very interesting that the verse 1173 adds to 12. 73 plus 11 is 84, which also adds to 12. It's talking about Abraham's family. When we go to chapter 12, it is also talking about Abraham's family. Yusuf, alayhi salam, Joseph, is one of 12 sons and a part of the family, or the Ahlul Bayt, right, of Abraham, okay? And this is very, very, very beautiful connection, right? And this goes way deeper, ladies and gentlemen. And I'm not going to get too much into the depths of this. I just kind of want to, guys, show you that if you play around with the numbers in the Quran, you'll be very, very surprised at how much it can really uncover. So I'd like to go ahead and move on here. And the last thing I want to go ahead and talk about here is going to be Surah 33. And this is one of the most notated verses here between the Sunni and the Shia to go ahead and talk about the wives being a part of the Ahlul Bayt here, 33. Now, I would like to just go ahead and read the context here, okay? So, it says, starting at 28, I'll start. O Prophet, say to your wives, if you desire the life of this world and its glitter, then come. I will make a provision for you and set you free in a handsome manner. But if you desire Allah and His Messenger and the home of the hereafter, and verily Allah has prepared the good doers amongst you an enormous reward. O wives of the Prophet, whoever of you commits an open a great sin, the torment for her will be doubled, and that is very easy for Allah. And whoever of you is obedient to Allah and His Messenger and does righteous and good deeds, we shall give her the reward twice over, and we prepare for her a noble provision of paradise. O wives of the Prophet, you are not like any other woman. If you keep your duty to Allah, then be not soft in speech, lest he who is heart in disease, hypocrisy, and so forth, should be moved with desire, but speak in an honorable manner. And stay in your houses, and do not display yourselves like that of the times of ignorance, and perform salat, and give zakat, and obey Allah and His Messenger. Allah wishes to only remove evil deeds and sins from you, O members of the family, or members of the Ahlul Bayt, and to purify you with a thorough purification. Okay, so I read the context to go ahead and explain something to you guys in just a second with the math. So just know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is talking about and splitting up the wives in two different categories. So he's saying, oh, wives of the Prophet, if you decide to choose this world, you choose this world. If you decide to choose, the life of the hereafter, you choose to choose Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger. If you commit a great sin against the Prophet or Allah, it will be doubled. If you go ahead and are obedient to the Prophet and Allah, your reward will be doubled. Okay? Now, you don't think too much of this, right? But when we go ahead and analyze the numbers, firstly, again, we're talking about Ahlul Bayt, similar to how we're talking about Ahlul Bayt here with Abraham and 1173, right? Which goes ahead and adds up to 12 and 12. Now, if we go ahead and take 3, 3, 3, and 3, we also get 12, okay? Now, if we take 33, okay, and we break it down into factors, the factors of 33 are the numbers that go into 33 are 1, 3, 11, and 33. Now, if we add these numbers together, 1, 3 plus 1 plus 1 plus 3 plus 3, we also get 12, okay? And we could play with this number all day. We end up back at 12, all right? Now, I'm not going to get too into this again. This is not a video for me trying to confirm that the Ahlul Bayt, for instance, are the 12 Imams, or that 12 is such a significant number that this may not be a coincidence. I personally don't believe in coincidences, especially in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but I'm not here to debate theology. I'm here to open the minds of certain individuals and show them how the Quran goes ahead and stays consistent with these numbers. When we're talking about the Ahlul Bayt of Abraham, it kept adding to 12. When we go to chapter 12 in the Quran, it is talking about the 12 tribes of Abraham, right? Of Jacob, which was Abraham's great-grandson, right? But these 12 tribes are what birthed all of the prophets. This is the Ahlul Bayt, right? Now, if we go ahead and take a look here, as we're talking about the Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet Muhammad now, this verse adds to 12. The factors of 33 add to 12. This is very, very interesting. Now, why did I read the context about the wives, right? If we go ahead and play with the with number 33, and we add it to 33, so we add the chapter to the verse right here that is specifically talking about this, right? We get 66. Now, if you don't want to specify the verse, right, we can just take the chapter, which is 33, and we can times it by 2. We can double it, and we still get 66, okay? Now, why is 66 significant? And why is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala splitting the wives into two different categories? Those who go against God and the Prophet, and those who accept God and His Prophet, and the ones who get double the righteous reward, and the ones who get double the punishment. Let's go ahead and flip to chapter 66 in the Holy Quran. Subhanallah. There is no coincidence that chapter 66 is a chapter that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking directly to the wives for conspiring against the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him. There is no coincidence that chapter 33, that is talking about the wives and splitting them into two categories and speaking about Ahlul Bayt, when doubled or when added together, takes us to chapter 66, which goes, O Prophet, why do you forbid yourself that which Allah has allowed you to seek, has allowed to you, seeking to please your wives? Question mark. Oh, Allah is oft forgiving and most merciful. Allah has already ordained for you the absolution of your oaths, and Allah is your Lord and Master and Protector, and He is the All-Knower, All-Wise. And remember when the Prophet disclosed the matter in confidence to one of his wives, and then she told it to another. and Allah made it known to him. He informed part, therefore, and left a part out. Then, when he told her, therefore she said, who told you this? Okay? He said, the all-knower, the well-acquainted. If you too, wives of the Prophet, right, turn into repentance of Allah, it will be better for you. Your hearts are indeed so inclined, right? And God continues to talk about this and says, if the Prophet may divorce you all, the Lord will give him instead of you wives better than you. So it's very interesting that 33:33 is very much talking about the wives and how God wants to purify them, how God is talking about splitting them into different sections. It's very interesting that 33 and 33 are split and they're the same number, and God is talking about wives on both sides. This is very, very, very interesting that we go ahead and double the number and it takes us to 66. And the Holy Quran, this whole entire chapter here, which is very short, is talking about the wives of the Prophet Muhammad. But not just the wives of the Prophet Muhammad, it continues on, right? And it ends, okay? The surah ends on the 12th ayah. This surah, 66, right? Let me go ahead and get a new piece of paper. Chapter 66 is only 12 ayah long, right? It's only 12 ayats, only 12 lines long. Where does the ayat end? The ayat ends talking about Maryam, right? Mother Mary, Maryam, okay? Now, before this, it's also talking about the wives of, for instance, Nabi Nuh and Nabi Lot, and how their wives are basically, they conspired against their prophet, and the prophet was no help to them, and they will end up in hellfire. And it gives the example of the Pharaoh, of course, and his wife, and how his wife will be in paradise. So this is very, very complex, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is examining. When examining 33:33, it appoints us to 66. And when we in 33:33, as I showed you, makes 12. 66 has 12 ayats inside of it. 66 also speaks about the wives. 66 also is separating the wives into two different categories for conspiring against the Prophet, and then talks about the wives who conspired against their Prophet, and talks about the wives that obeyed their Prophet, right? Or talks about for instance, the Pharaoh's wife who obeyed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over the Pharaoh, correct? So I am very, very, very amazed that when we're talking about the Prophet Abraham and his family, we end up getting 12. So we're in 1173, it's 12. When we go to chapter 12, it's talking about Joseph, one of 12 of his brothers, right? One of 12 of his Ahlul Bayt, and he is the one prophet. When we go ahead and analyze 33, we talk about the wives of the Prophet. When we're talking about the Ahlul Bayt in specific, 33, it makes 12. When we go ahead and break down the factors of 33, it makes 12. When we double 33, or we add the surah and ayah together, it takes us to 66. 66 is talking about the same exact thing 33 is talking about. 66 has 12 ayat. These are the type of mathematical miracles I wanted to go ahead and talk about today. These are not things I am trying to utilize today to prove something to you, to prove a sect, or to prove something of any nature. I just want my Muslim brothers and sisters, Sunni, Shia, wherever you are, even if you're not Muslim, pick up the Holy Quran and start playing with the numbers. You will be amazed, and you will see how fast it'll start taking you to directing you to specific places. If any of you guys have any questions, or you have any concerns, or you guys have seen how this can break down further in any type of way, go ahead and let me know. I personally have multiple different areas of the Quran like I just showed you, and they do break down in much more complexity. I didn't want to go ahead and focus on those complexities today. Each individual subject could take around 30 to 40 minutes just on one ayat, and this is very, very, very amazing to me. And over the last couple weeks, taking a look at the Quran, paying attention to some of these numeric things, I am truly amazed, ladies and gentlemen. Please tell me if you've ever heard of the of 33, right? Talking about the wives and doubling it, and it taking us to, 266, and how I went ahead and implemented the 12 into this, as well as 12 is made in 33:33. 12 is made with Prophet Abraham. Chapter 12 is about Joseph and his 12 brothers and sisters, or his 11 brothers and sisters, and he is the one prophet of 12, and all the prophets come from this lineage. Go ahead and let me know what you think about Surah 66 being 12 ayat and it taking us there and it continuing on with the wives. I very much want to just open discussion, and I want Muslimin to go ahead and take a look at these things for themselves and expand upon them themselves, because this is not knowledge that comes from me. This is knowledge that is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. These are things that I was blinded and could not see for years reading the Holy Quran. But these are things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed me to see now. So please, ladies and gentlemen, go ahead, analyze the text, analyze these things, and let me know what you think. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and until next time, bye-bye.